Health is not binary. It's not something you either have or don't have. That is one of the most limiting beliefs in wellness culture, and today I want to dismantle it completely. Welcome to your daily hit of grace and grit, your quick dose of inspiration to kickstart your day. I'm Courtney Townley, and here is today's hit. In my book, The Consistency Code, I make a point that I feel really strongly about. Health is not necessarily the absence of disease. I mentioned this the other day, a few episodes back. Look, I know that challenges a lot of conventional thinking. We tend to imagine health as this pristine state of physical perfection, no diagnosis, no medication, no chronic condition, no struggle. And if you have any of those things, well, the story goes, you're not healthy. That is not what I believe. Because that is not what my experience has shown me in my own life or working with clients. Health is not binary. It's not something that you have or don't have. I said that at the beginning, but it really is so important to emphasize here that it is multidimensional. This is something I'm constantly preaching in my work. Health is not just your physicality, what's happening in your systems, right? In terms of your physiology. It is mental, emotional, relational, environmental. It's even spiritual in a way, right? Like your sense of purpose, your sense of meaning. It lives in your body, yes, but it also lives in your mind. Your relationships, your sense of purpose, your emotional life, your connections to something larger than yourself. And those dimensions do not all rise and fall together. You can be feeling really healthy in some of those areas and not so healthy in others. So I've coached a lot of women with a lot of different diagnoses over the years. Diagnoses that would level a lot of people emotionally and physically. And I said this the other day, but I want to say it again. I would never have signed on to work with those women if I did not believe deeply and completely that they could be healthy regardless of a diagnosis. The diagnosis told us something about what they were dealing with in one dimension of their health. It did not tell us who they were. It did not tell us what was possible for them. And it absolutely did not tell us that health in other dimensions were off the table. So I have watched women with some of the worst diagnoses you can get become more emotionally healthy than they've ever been, more relationally rich, more purposeful and alive than they were years before, and certainly more than a lot of people I've worked with who have perfectly clean lab work. And the reason they were able to do that was because they chose to anchor themselves in the dimensions of health that were available to them, even when one dimension was profoundly under assault. That's what health really is, right? It's not an absence of anything. It's a practice, no matter what shows up. So here's what I want to stretch this idea into a little bit, because I do not think that disease only comes in the form of a medical diagnosis, right? I use the word or the phrase dis-ease a lot. I hyphenate the word disease a lot in my book, because disease or dis-ease can look like financial strain that's been grinding away at you for years. It can look like a relationship that's been slowly eroding your sense of self. Maybe it looks like a career that's leaving you hollow. Chronic loneliness, unprocessed grief. None of those are going to show up on your lab work, but they absolutely affect your health. And the question in all of these cases is the same. How are you showing up in the face of what you are actually dealing with? Because that's the real measure of health. Again, it's not the absence of the difficulty, but who you become and how you live within it. I've shared this before, but probably haven't shared it in a while, but around COVID, so I think it was 2019, maybe it was 2018, I don't remember. But I went for a routine checkup with my doctor, and she said, "Hey, you know what, Courtney? Your platelets are consistently a little bit higher than they should be. And so I just want you to go see a hematologist and let's just explore what this might be coming from." All my other labs were great. Didn't think anything of it. Booked the appointment, went into this hematologist who also happened to be an oncologist, which apparently is a thing. Hematology, oncology often go hand in hand. And when I went in to get blood work done, she said, "Look, it's going to be one of three things. You either have low iron, you have a blood disorder, or you have some kind of blood cancer." And I was like, "What? Let's just go with the first option. Can I pick that?" Right? I'm just going to have some kind of, my iron's low. That'd be great. That's a really feasible option. But ultimately, after I had to have a bone marrow biopsy, highly do not recommend, not fun. But ultimately, what came out of all of that is that I have a genetic mutation. I have a JAK2 gene, and I have slightly elevated platelets, and therefore they diagnosed me with a condition called essential thrombocythemia, which basically means my bone marrow is an overachiever. I just create a lot of platelets, which can become problematic if they aren't under control, because I can throw a clot, I could have a heart attack, I could have, eventually this could evolve into a more serious kind of cancer. And I have to say that when that diagnosis came through, I had so much shame because I'd been a health coach. I'd been in the space of wellness my entire career. I was like, how did this possibly happen to me? But in a weird way, I'm so glad it happened to me because it also made me completely reevaluate how I was looking at diagnoses and how I was looking at a lot of the challenges my clients were facing at the time. So I share the story, right, of Claire Bergman in my book, who was diagnosed with ALS. And we had been working prior to her diagnosis a lot on her body image and learning how to enjoy life more and giving herself more permission to rest and leave a job that she had outgrown and all the things. And coaching her in that diagnosis, Claire, and you can read her own words in the book, but she really found this place where she realized that health was how she chose to be within her diagnosis. She felt like her health was being chipped away when she was hyper-focused on what she couldn't do, or she was fearful of the future. But when she was in the present moment and really recognizing what her body still could do, she felt healthy. And so I share those stories with you because shit happens, right? You can do all the things that you think you're supposed to be doing to avoid things like a diagnosis. But you can't completely avoid those things. You don't know what's coming down the pipeline. And I'm in a place now, first of all, I will tell you, I don't take any medications or anything. Like, I am such a low risk person with this blood condition. And I have such a healthy lifestyle. I do all the things I can think of to keep my blood thin. I also regulate my blood work often. I pay attention to it. And if my platelets start to get out of control, I will have another conversation with my provider. But my point being is, if I stressed out about the diagnosis itself, I wouldn't be healthy, right? If I was just so caught up in the disappointment of it and the shame of it and all the stuff that I was rumbling with initially. But I'm aware of it. I do what I can to manage it. And I live my life. And I think it's one of the main reasons why I do really well with this condition, because I'm in some Facebook groups where, I'll tell you what, the stories are not that, right? People are really wrestling with the condition. So I will deal with it as it comes, but I am learning how to be healthy in a diagnosis. So if you're navigating something hard right now, whether it's a medical diagnosis or any other form of difficulty, I really want you to remember this. Your health is not gone because one dimension of it is compromised. Your health is available to you in every dimension that is still accessible. And how you tend to those other dimensions, how you invest in your mental, emotional, relationship, and purposeful health, even while your physical health is under stress, I think it's some of the most important work you could ever do. So a diagnosis is not the final word. It's how you live within it. So I want you to ask yourself at the close of this, which dimensions of your health are available to you right now, even if some are under strain, right? And what is one thing I could do today to invest in one of those other dimensions? If someone in your life is navigating a hard season right now, especially a hard health season, this message might help them. So please share the episode if you know of somebody who could benefit from the message. Sometimes the most powerful thing that we can offer someone is just a different way of seeing what they're going through. So if it feels right, if it feels helpful, pass it along. And thank you in advance. If this stirred something inside of you, imagine what a whole book of clarity and courage could ignite. The Consistency Code, a midlife woman's guide to deep health and happiness, goes even deeper into the mindset and practices that create real, meaningful change at midlife. Grab your copy today over at theconsistencycode.com and keep the momentum alive.